Hi, this is Carrie from Scrapyard Chicks, and I want to bring you our third photo ornament for the day. And today we're going to do a little mini album. I was going to do a garland, but I had to change my plans up a little bit because I spent the day yesterday doing some other things instead of getting my project ready. So this is just a little album, and then you can just go ahead and put your pictures inside like this. This was from 2008. So this one I did with 3 pages, and it actually makes a pretty nice little size album. You can tie it closed, and then you can hang it on your Christmas tree. So you can just kind of see some of the different ways that you can decorate it. And so what I used for the outside of this book is you can use it's a 4x6 piece of pattern paper, but what I did is Fancy Pants has these great Christmas magic this is from their last year's collection, these cards, and these are actually the perfect size that when you cut apart 2 of them, you end up with a perfect little album cover. So for this one, I'd use this Boughs of Holly right here. Today we're going to do this this lower piece right here that says Joy to the World. And I suppose you could turn your book and do it this way if you wanted to as well, depending on how your pictures are. So what you're going to start out with is you're going to start with a 4x6 piece of pattern paper. Like I said, this one is kind of in these little cards, which is great. So you're going to put it in your score pal or your trimmer with your scoring blade, and you're just going to score that at 3, and you're just going to fold that in half. And then we're going to actually add the ribbons to this before we put the book together. And the reason is we want all that stuff hidden. So we're going to punch a couple holes. We're going to punch a hole here, here, and we're going to do one in the binding right there. So we're just going to find that center point, and since it is 4x6, we know our center point is 2. So I just kind of poked a little hole so I know about where to go, and I'm just going to go ahead and punch through both the front and back cover at the same time. You want to go in a little bit, just far enough, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the binding side, just like that. And then I'm going to punch, so that ends up being 4 holes once you punch through both covers. And then I'm going to punch one right up here in the crease, and that's going to be my little hanging spot. So you just want to go right there on the fold. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we're just going to put our cover off to the side for right now. We're going to do our little interior pages, and these little pieces are 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, and that's going to be the little pages of our book. And we're going to cut 3 of these. So I just use some plain white basil cardstock with a nice texture on it. What you want to do for this, since it is 5 1/2, you want to score it in the center. That would be 2 3/4. That's kind of tricky on the score palette. It doesn't have a 2 3/4. So what I do is I move it over to the 1 1/2, and then I score it on the 4 1/4 mark. And I'm going to score this on the non-textured side because I want my textured side to be folded in. So what we're going to do with these 3 pieces is we are actually going to adhere these together so that we make a little booklet that looks like this, that's going to go inside for our pages. So what you can do is go ahead, cut those, score those, and you're going to go ahead and glue those pages together. And then we also need the little pieces of paper that are going to join this into our cover. And those are 3 by 5 1/2. And then you can do the same thing throughout your book to decorate it. So I went ahead, and you want about 4 of those. You need at least 2, and then you can use more inside. So at 3 by 4 1/2, we're going to do the same thing for scoring. Put it at the 1 1/2 mark, and then we're going to score it at 4 1/4. Then we're just going to fold each one of those in half. So we've got 3 of these little pieces for our pages, and I did 4 of these little scored pieces to glue our book together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue my pages together, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I went ahead and glued my white cardstock pages together. So I put glue on the back of these, and I just glued them together so I end up with a piece that looks like this. And this is going to go inside of my album like this. Now I could just glue those down, but what I wanted to do is I'm going to actually use my pattern paper, and I'm actually going to glue that across like that. So I end up with a little pattern there, a little bit of color inside of my booklet. But before I do that, I want to do my ribbon treatment. So I need, for my hanging loop at the top up here, I need about 6 to 8 inches of ribbon. And if you want to do a little tag like that, you want to do your tag first and put that on there before you tie that ribbon on. If you ever see this tag punch, this is a great punch. I got this a long time ago at Treasury of Memories in Bellingham. Love it. Use it all the time. So what I'm going to do is I just punched out a little tag. I'm just going to punch a little hole. And then I've got about 8 inches of ribbon. I'm just going to thread that through that hole that we punched right through the binding like that. I can thread my tag on there. I punched a tiny hole, which makes it harder. And then I'm just going to tie an overhand knot. You could also use a tinsel stem for this. You could use a fancy, okay, sorry about that. I had to change my memory stick. So I went ahead and I tied that little tag on, and I just tied a little overhand knot. Then I need about 16 inches of ribbon that I'm going to use to tie my booklet closed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my ribbon on the outside. I'm just going to go thread it through that hole. I've got those 2 little holes that go across the binding. It's going to go back out, then back in, and then back out again. And then I just want to even it up so the pieces are about the same from side to side. So you should end up with about 6 inches sticking out from each side. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my little pieces that I'm going to join my book together with. I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on the backs of both of those folded spots. And for this little project, I'm just using my dry adhesive. It's not like a box where it's got a lot of folding and stuff, so I think this should work just fine. And then I'm going to take this little piece, I'm going to center it on the front of my little booklet. Oops, I didn't get adhesive on the other side there. I like putting adhesive on the joining piece rather than on the cover because it makes it a little bit easier to control exactly where it's going to go. Then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start, I'm going to put it flush with my outer edge like this. And then I'm just going to press that in. And that cover is just going to wrap around my little booklet. Okay, so I've got that little piece that joins it like that. And I'm going to repeat the same thing on the back cover. Then with the extra pieces, I'm going to just glue those in between my pages just to give it a little bit of extra pattern in there, and then I can put my little photos in there. So let me finish up my book and then I'll be back to show you what it looks like. Okay, so here is my finished little book. I've got my covers, my little tag hanging off the outside, and then I just went ahead and glued my pages in. Here's the little piece that joins that together. Remember, that's a 3 by 5.5. My little interior pages are 3 3/4 by 5.5. And then I just put my pattern paper on there. And then you can also cut some things into strips, use a little border punch, kind of, and then you're just going to put your photos right on top. And then this is the piece that joins it into the back cover. And then I can just tie it closed. So here's one that I have that's done that actually has little pictures in it. And so I just took some scraps of cardstock and matted my pictures and just kind of went through and put a bunch of different little photos in there so you can kind of see some of the different things that you can do with this. So it's just a real fun and easy project. You can hang that right on your Christmas tree. You could send this to a couple special friends for a Christmas card, you know, all sorts of different things. And then tomorrow I am going to try and get the garland ready for you. And that will be really fun. So that will be our 4th day. So have a happy Sunday. It's very rainy here in Seattle today. So anyway, we're going to spend the afternoon scrapbooking though, so that's always a good thing to do, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks from Scrapyard Chicks.